Decoder! It's the show where we go to the Goblin Market. We visit the shops and stalls. We sift our fingers through the wares. And then we come to the stall of Cover Truth. And we point to the most expensive item, yank out our dagger, hold it to the goblin's throat, and say, "Give us that, or you shall die."
Right now, Warwick Davis, I know it's you.
I am the Brengineer. As always with me is the Tape Finder General.
I'm going to put a tape in your pocket. You won't even know it's there.
It's not even a real tape, man.
And of course, we have the artist himself, Inks.
Scribble, scribble.
Scrib.
How are we doing today, guys?
We are doing fantastic. And let me tell you why, folks. Because we had book one, and we were very happy with book one, but it just so happens that we were, shopping in the cover world, and lo and behold, book two came before us. And let me tell you.
Now, remind us, what was book one?
Book one.
What are we talking about here?
Book one was called The Shook Adventure. And it was the tale of a man.
Climb aboard.
The Captain Shook ship. It was the tale of a man named Jason Shook, who piloted a ship called Guild of Lore, which is an amazing Dungeon Synth act, folks. And I have to tell you right now, please go check out that interview. He is an amazing individual, an amazing artist. And he just released a new album, and it is Harvest Magic. Harvest. Piping hot, hot pumpkin magic.
Put it in your ears, folks.
Put it in your ears. So, Guild of Lore, Jason Shook, part one, amazing story. But we didn't know that he was going to send us a raven and deliver to us part two. And out of the misty forests of Coverdom came two heavy-bearded boys with leers and synth in hand, and they said, "Hey, you guys want to do an interview?" And we said yes. Yes, we did, folks. And that is how we have come to part two of our Dungeon Synth tale with Sombre Arcane.
Yes.
Oh, we are so excited to bring this to you guys.
It was a blast. It was a full-on blast. These guys are inspiring, talented dudes. Lots of great stories here. Lots of interesting behind-the-scenes tidbits.
Oh man.
Yes. And you know what? We could go on, and we will, but first, we're just going to give it to you here and now. So, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this interview with Sombre Arcane.
Roll it.
dense foliage of forests deep, where hands of fog weave and creep, the decoders heard the mystic sounds of lyre and harp, of keyboard and choir. Lo, what sadness did ensue, their hearts did fill with impending gloom. With ardent soul in hands they walked, these masters of the somber arts. Tapes did hear their clarion call, and mustered the decoders all. An interview they did pursue, to bring here now to you. So let's cut the shit, and delve in deep, before my rhymes begin to rot and seep. I introduce them here and now. Welcome Phranick and Naginah. I had to add the emphasis on the ah. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
That's fucking awesome. Already the best interview ever.
Well, you gotta have a little flavor.
Lyrics.
You're dealing with
Try to
bards.
spice it up.
Yeah.
Bars.
Yeah, what's a chalupa without the hot sauce?
Yeah.
It's such a flaccid, weird taco thing that no one wants to eat. Let's be honest.
Hey, don't tell me what to eat.
Well, I'm sold.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, that's coming.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, right out the gate here, this is a beautiful moment. I've never seen so many beards in a chat room.
Oh my. Yeah.
If we were to shave all these beards off and combine them,
Yeah, we'd have a kid.
we would have a horrible little beard totem baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Would be its
yeah.
own
We
horror
could
movie.
call it Count Lavascus and teach him Kodo and pan flute. It'd be a
Gotta
beautiful
be careful
moment.
with the pan flute. You can't overuse a pan flute. That's something that we
You
really.
definitely
Yeah.
cannot overuse
No,
that.
I've got a strong opinions.
Yeah,
about the
no,
pan
we've learned something. If there's anything we've learned in the Dungeon Synth game, it's that people have extremely strong feelings about the pan flute. You want to be very careful when you use it.
I like the way it sounds, but I don't like the look of the people playing it usually. They've got all their turquoise on, and they're just playing it at the fair, and I just want to hit them.
You're standing in a mall somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to sell their CD.
Their CD, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That'd
Not
be a
into
good
it.
look though. You know, wearing like hairy pants with little horns and just like playing your pan flute on a little hill. That'd be a great live show, dude. Right?
yeah.
People would dig that.
Not
Bed
this
getting
time.
head-
Not him. He would not. Look, I'll try anything twice. But anyway,
Right. If it gets cassettes, right? That's what matters.
yeah,
Right there.
moving that dungeon plastic. That's true. You gotta be Scrooge McDuckin in those gold coins, you know.
Dungeon plastic.
So, damn, you guys have been busy boys. Collaborations, albums, videos, shows,
Books.
books.
Indeed, it's been a never ending.
I guess we have done all of those things, and sometimes it's like, you know how it is though. You have so many things you want to get done that sometimes you lose sight of the things that you have gotten done, right? So,
For
with
sure.
all of those things, I guess that is a fucking hell of a list, I suppose. But yeah, no, it's just kind of like, and it's all practice for the next shit we're gonna do, right?
For sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the cool thing. So, like you just said to that point, you know, a lot of creative types, you know, are the same way where you have so many things you want to accomplish. What's kind of your guys' what's your secret there? Is it just lots of coffee, lots of stimulants?
Go and make no mistake about it. Okay, no. Anyway, no, we made a promise to each other very early that we were going to say any ridiculous idea, and then be okay if we only got a bit of it done.
Right. We never say no. We say
How?
How?
Yeah, and then like if we find out that the how turns into something we can't fuck with, we just laugh and we go, well, we can't do that, but we might be able to do this and this and this, you know. So it's like, you know, I mean, we talk about music video. We've talked that we've got one coming up. We've got you know, a lot of talk behind us on like these epic music videos, where we might go to do it, fly out to the desert, you know, stand up on a fucking sand dune, and then like what we ended up doing was going in my basement. You know what I mean? So like, you know, but like the same ideas, the meta ideas of what we had to put together, you know, like, and it's just all like, it's all just practice for that next shit. You know, so if you only get a fraction of it done, you know, you're still moving somewhere, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you had that experience you can build off of for later things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You get a lot for
listen
free.
out there, creative types. Wise words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
before
don't
we,
quit now and don't ruin your life with any of this nonsense. Get a good job.
That's right. Get into pharmaceuticals and sell them under the table. You'll make more money.
That's actually very, very true.
Then you can
won't be as
fund. Then you
fun.
can fund your crazy Dungeon Synth ideas.
That's right.
There we go.
Well, you know,
What
it's
do you,
like the
what do you guys
yeah.
do? Do you just have an idea and then you like call each other up, or do you like show up, in the basement and be like, erotic Dungeon Synth?
Well, actually, what's interesting about that with the video was we just showed up in the basement. Like, Josh was, like, coming over, and I was just like, yeah, we're going in the basement tonight instead of any of that. We're going to shoot a video. And we did it, and then, redid the whole thing immediately. Right? Just like we were like,
Yeah.
this footage is not as good as I need it to be.
But the idea was there.
But the idea was there, so it was like, okay, just fucking redo the whole thing. That's the other thing, too. If you're listening and you're creative, first off, I'm sorry. But secondly, don't be afraid to throw anything the fuck away, ever.
Right.
Like, just
yeah.
toss it into the sun. Sometimes you
yeah.
gotta put the whole fucking idea in the trash and, like, work on something else.
Yeah, burn it up and
yeah.
start again. So, before we jump into your guys' covers here, we like to do something in our interviews just to spice things up. Like we said, we like sauce.
Okay.
We like all the sauces. So we have a few warm-up questions we'd like to ask you
Let's
guys.
listen to the nitty-gritty. Learn a bit about you guys before
Deep
we really...
psychological analysis.
Anal
I mean,
cyst.
Put in the anal and analysis.
yes. Really, people like to say that they want to hear about your music, but really they want to hear about what color your sheets are. You know? That's the truth.
Okay. All right.
That's not the first question, though. The first question is, talking about hot sauces, what is your diarrhea of choice? And by that, I mean, what is your fast food of choice? You know, you're going to the show, you don't have time to make your filet mignon that you've been sitting on. What are you going to pound?
Yeah, wizard fuel.
Can we decide from anywhere in the country, or do we have to talk about where we normally go?
No limits.
No
limits.
limits.
Should we just do it on
Culver's.
three?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
you can be a little
exactly.
more
3, 2, 1.
specific.
Culver's. So yeah, so I've been. I mean, wait a second. We'll bring it to committee. No, I've been touring for a really long time, and Josh came out for the first time last November. And I kept telling him, like, yo, dog, we get really fucked in the Northeast with this McWendy Kings bullshit. Like, what we need is we need to get some real fucking fast food shit that they have out in the country. Like, I don't even give a shit if it's fucking Steak or Shake or Carl's Jr. It's not McWendy Kings, right? So, like, we don't get any of that shit. And I just kept talking about this place. And look, I'm a fat fuck. My fat fuckery knows no bounds. So if I tell you that and I'm a cunt. So if I tell you that something is fucking good, and then I like it, and then, like, I can't wait to get here and eat this thing specifically, right? Like, you gotta listen to me. And I told Josh, I was like, we gotta get Culver's. It's like, it's a fast food experience like nothing else. They make these fucking fried cheese curds, but, the butter burgers, and you just, oh, man.
Oh,
He wasn't lying. It was really good.
Vegas.
Yeah, I
That
got
sounds like
feeling.
something. Sounds like something Josh has experience there with.
baby.
We don't get many fried cheese curds over here in the
Or a
Northwest.
butter... What the heck's a butter burger?
It's just
Yeah, I
a
don't even-
burger that's, like, fucking fried in butter and shit.
That does that come in veggie patties? We do veggie patties here. Can you get that in a veggie patty option?
This episode is sponsored by Culver's. That's right.
Culver's.
Come on down and try
Get your
a
butter
butter
burgers.
burger with deep
But if
fried
I
curd.
have to choose between the McWendy Kings, it's Wendy's all day long.
All right.
Yeah, I'd go
Culver's
with that,
and
too.
Wendy's, folks. You heard it here first. Dungeon Synth food.
Yes.
Orcs and Moria are getting ready with Culver's and Wendy's
Yeah.
before battle.
Why can't we have
All
any
right.
mates?
All right, this is an important one here. So, which Dark Lord would win in a battle royale? Vader, Voldemort, or Sauron?
In a battle royale.
In a battle royale,
Yeah.
so, I'm sorry, so who are the combatants? Sauron and Voldemort and whom?
Vader, Darth.
Well, Darth is going straight in the drink.
Yeah,
It's impossible! No!
I'm gonna have to go with Sauron. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Voldemort's a fucking peckerhead, but he's never done any
Hey,
shit.
watch your mouth! It's
He's
not
never
true.
had. He's
I'm
never
so
had.
cool.
He's
got
never
nose
had
holes.
an entire army of orcs, right? Like
Yeah, that's true.
Like I'd watch that. Like, you know,
Easily. The thing about
There you go.
Voldemort is he gets a +1 because he's kind of immune to COVID because of his tiny nose.
He's got his own face mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess Sauron doesn't have a nose, so you're not taking these guys down with COVID.
yeah.
Yeah, they've all got shitty respirators.
What is a Dungeon Synth master's favorite pastime? You're not creating. You're not coming up with ideas. You're just. This is what you're gonna do to relax, to wind down after some hot Culvers.
I think we're playing Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah,
together. We've
I
been doing
mean-
it.
Yeah.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah, I mean, really, don't get a lot of that anymore. But we've been playing the same campaign every Monday night
For at least 7,
for
if not.
7, maybe almost 8 years at this point.
Oh, Lord, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's how we met, actually, and then the band very much grew out of
Of that campaign.
that
specifically.
campaign specifically.
Wow.
And
Whoa.
the characters are not from that campaign, but the characters have met the characters from that campaign. And if you're really the kind of person who digs into what we do, the little not spoiler, but the little tidbit there is that on the demo CD, there's a story inside, and that's like a campfire scene of when our characters in the band met our characters from the campaign.
Because I was literally about to ask. So we have Naginah the Bard, and we got Phranick the Wizard. Is that how it rolls out in the game?
No,
I mean, after the fact.
after
right?
the fact, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So originally we came up with the characters separately. Now they are first edition AD&D characters in the sense that Phranick is like a, I won't say what because that's very intimate and personal, but he's a high level wizard, and Naginah is a bard, but it's a first edition bard, so it's a little bit different in terms of the mechanics where. Instead of being sort of like a spoony bard that just is like an instrumentalist and sings and plays, it's more of a heraldic, Celtic kind of maybe even Gaulish, Germanic sort of bard.
It's like
so
multi-class.
Oh, nice.
yeah,
between fighter,
it's a
thief,
3-class
and
exactly. You start as a human, right, and then you do I'm going. The first class is fighter. You do like 5 levels at least of fighter, then you switch into thief. And you do that many levels of thief, and then you switch into basically technically druid, and you're a first level bard, but you're like a triple class character, and humans and half elves.
This is the secret of how to make a bard playable. Then is what I'm hearing.
Bards ain't what they used to be.
Yeah, well,
You used
it's
to have
really
at least
like
5 levels of fighter before you
Yeah,
could-
well, yeah, you have 5 levels of fighters. It's like
Yeah.
that's a nightmare, right? So that's
a
the thing
shame.
is, and you'll see this in the fiction as we get more into it. Sorry, you really fucking pulled the ripcord on this one. We'll get into this in the fiction eventually more, but even in the book that I have out, The Weave is a Pulse, there's definitely a reference in one of the main storylines. You start to see where the character Naginah has an awful lot of tactical and strategic military ability. So like that's where that comes from. The bard as a leader, like a Caesar-esque leader, right, for the people, is like kind of I think more the kind of a bard that we're talking about, right? But also
I like
hookers
it.
and blow.
But also hookers and blow.
Yeah.
You gotta have this.
We put the cane.
Now, quick question.
Sombre Arcane.
Important question. Prime Edition. What's your Dungeons and Dragons edition? Which one do you feel is
I
best?
mean,
Yeah.
it's first edition.
First edition.
First edition AD&D.
First edition.
Now, I mean, I'll add on to that I like basic and first. So like Beck Me edition basic, the basic expert, companion, master.
We do
immortal,
a kind of a blend of first and second.
We go all the way from basic to second with like the homebrew campaign that we play in. So we have non-weapon proficiencies, but we played for years without it. So we almost did like a like what you would have done in the late 80s into the early 90s, where you started with first edition and the second edition got released. you started applying non-weapon proficiencies. You hadn't already implemented them from the, oh my fucking god, I'm such a nerd.
Then you skip all the way over 3 in Pathfinder, 'cause fuck it. And then you come back for 5.
Yeah, 5's okay. Hey, you know what?
Well,
Then
that
there's
was
the
a good
addition that
answer.
never
I'm
happened.
all about the OG D&D, so that's excellent.
Well, what's funny too is you've proven something that I've begun to realize is when you know someone actually plays D&D, like is really into it.
Yeah.
They don't just play D&D; they have their own Frankenstein D&D that they play.
Well,
That they
so I
just
think
take-
that especially that's how these games work, right? Because these games are supposed to emulate a context that people are creating when they get together. And that means that they have to be modular because you don't know what that context is going to be until you have the people doing it. Anyway, whatever. You're right, totally. Yeah, sick.
So, going off that, though, it's actually a good segue. This is the final of our warm-ups here.
Cool.
What is one cover for each of you that resonates with you personally? So a cover that you look at and, you know, means something to you, or you remember something from, or, you know, just takes you into a different world.
Well, I'll start.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm usually the shy one, but I'll give it a go this time.
He's a liar.
So, you know, when we started talking about this the other night, I just there's this one album cover that I remember that I kind of have to mention because I knew that I wanted to mention something special that was like local to my scene of music, because I've always been more into the things that like the people I can like get to and talk to and like build community with do than like, you know, famous people, right? So I wanted to do something local from the scene, and I don't know, you know, if you're familiar with the sort of hardcore scene from the early 90s, but there was this band called Sam Black Church. And they're kind of a little bit like I don't know, Pantera if the fucking, like, if it was more like the Bad Brains with the same vocalist from the Bad Brains. It's, like, really hard to explain. It's, like, groovy stoner metal, but, like, before that was even a thing, and definitely, like, it was definitely, you know, the fucking spin kick, you know, sick pit, break your nose
Meta
you know,
metal.
scene. Yeah. But it wasn't like metal. It was like really, really like organic and authentic. But anyway, they had a cover, and the demo that they had put out is called just the purple demo because it's purple on the front, and then it has this like really esoteric looking sort of drawing. It definitely looks like a magical symbol or like something to summon a demon with, and it's like
Nice.
it just says Sam Black Church, Boston, and it's just, you know, I was like, the music sounds so eerie, and then like the album cover just kind of like struck me, and yeah, never really, like, it's very iconic for me, and a lot of people I grew up with, but like only a couple thousand, right? Because this is like a very local band, so.
For me, I'd say the album cover that's like stuck with me and left a real impression doesn't take me to another world at all. But Too Fast for Love by Motley Crue
Nice.
is the perfect album cover.
Yeah, we're gonna recreate it for our full length, I think.
Just cover the whole thing. Do a Dungeon Synth cover. That's amazing. Yeah, it's cool to see the diversity of the things people choose, because, you know, for instance, Jason Shook, he was talking about Enya.
Oh
And I
yeah,
was like,
Yeah.
Enya?
I mean,
I wasn't expecting that at all, you know? So it's cool to see, just you know, you got butt rock, you got hardcore metal,
Yeah.
or some variation in between. And that's kind of the cool thing about covers is they really represent pieces of, you know, memories or whatever. It just kind of depends on your brand. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's so, you know, it's funny because when I think of covers, there's so many different sort of things that I've listened to. So I think of the Gravediggers' 6 Feet Deep album cover. That shit was fucking like just terrifying in an iconic way to me when I was younger too. And then I think of Vangelis, the synth artist. I had like
nice.
vinyl
Yeah.
with Vangelis covers, and it was always something that I ended up sampling a lot of that stuff early on when I started with hip hop, because the album cover always made me put that shit on. You know what I mean? I was like, this is fucking awesome. I don't know what it is, but it's great.
Draws you in.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
All my favorites are all like hair metal. I like the Wasp self-titled.
Oh, dude.
Well, that's got
fuck
like the
a
candles
beast.
in the background. Yeah. And then Soldiers in Command from Stryper is such an excellent
Nice.
album.
Any Striper album cover, really. They're all gems.
Yeah, I'm still working on my Buzzsaw codpiece. Not there yet. All right, so we're going to slide into your guys' covers now. And I'm going to go first. So you guys have a very rich portfolio, and we wanted to give our fellow cover fiends a taste of it all. So we're going to do each of you boys, and then we're going to do some Sombre Arcane stuff. So I'd like to begin with Naginah here, Demo 1. So, folks, if you pull up the slides when you're listening, what you're going to see is level 6 of the Puzzle Master's dungeon. And at the heart is the Wizard's Scrabble game that is being played here. And Naginah is clearly scoring a hell of a lot of points on this here Scrabble board and just burning down the house.
Yeah.
But really, what we have, if you look, is a very graphic image of a square, and it has Naginah in 2 sections. And when I first saw this, that's kind of what I thought of. I was like, is this some sort of game? What's going on here? I'm a little confused. But if you actually go onto the Bandcamp, I'm going to let you explain it, Josh. But there is information on what this is. And now when I look at it, I can see nothing but this awesome esoteric puzzle of spells and messianic lettering. It's really cool. So, Josh, why don't you tell everyone what's going on here?
Yeah, so Naginah, it comes from a magic square from the book, The Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage. And basically what it's, you use it to summon the sound of stringed instruments. And that's what I play in the band, is stringed instruments.
So this is actually a spell, like
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
This is kind of funny. Mathers, he didn't translate it correctly, so it should be Naginah, Neginah, but I didn't know that until later. And I like the sound of Naginah better, so I'm okay with it.
Yes,
I like the sound
absolutely.
of Naginah too.
So instead of summoning harps, they're accidentally going to be summoning like dildos or something in their hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Dildo dude.
Just
Hey, you can still play music with those though. You just got to hit them together real hard.
They become a percussive
yeah,
instrument.
exactly.
Well, it's so cool. And then if we go ahead and you scroll down one, we'll see a picture of the book here, and you actually have one of the squares filled out here, and it's just really cool. So, is this actually in the book, or did you create this?
No, it's a straight out of the book. The only thing that I did to this image is invert the colors and turn up the thresholding a bit.
It's super cool, and I love that it's not filled out too, because when you learn that, you're like, oh shit, like what else goes in there?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's such a cool idea, and it just really goes to show folks out there, when you dig into something, you learn so much more, and that's what was really cool about this. So seeing how this actually ties into your music, and I'm assuming, this is where you got your name from, or
Yep.
did you have it before?
No, I got my name from this book. I had been looking over it for a while. It's just a really cool book because on top of its main, the main Abramelin thing, which is like months long. There's recently a movie that came out about it, but you like go through this long process where you're insulated from the world, and you focus on these squares every day and everything, and you eventually come to meet your guardian angel. There's the individual squares, and they kind of go through what like major and lesser demon you're working with, and then you're calling to manifest these things into creation and into reality.
Now,
and it's
have
just
you taken
that's pretty
part
sweet.
in this?
Much like
Oh, yeah.
No, I haven't. No,
Safety
You haven't
first,
filled
yeah.
out your square? Come on, dude.
I haven't.
I'm gonna fill out your square.
But I
That
just
would be embarrassing.
it just set my imagination.
Gotcha.
Exactly, and it is super cool. So, the other thing that's really cool about it is it's super graphic. So
Yeah.
to me, from just not knowing what it was at all when I first saw it, I thought it was like a modern piece. Like you would actually put it together. But knowing that it's actually this square that was already created is really cool because it's something from the past that's still relevant to today when you look at it. So it's just a really cool graphic that's simple and effective. So I really like it. And like I said, as you were explaining, learning the history behind it really gives you a deeper appreciation for it. So it's a super cool cover. And what's interesting...
And I
Yeah, go for
think,
it.
just to add on, I think it adds a lot to the music because
Yes.
Yeah.
I had actually, I'm on a lot of the Dungeon Synth groups, and I've seen your album out there, like people, showing off the tape and, check this out. And then it wasn't until we set up this interview that I listened to it, and it's beautiful, and the illustration, knowing what it is now, really sets that tone for being
Exactly.
this piece of mystic art. And I think it's very striking.
Thank you. That funny other side note about this is that for a live performance that I did, a live stream performance that I did, I on my wood floor in my living room,
Yeah.
I made a tape art version of this. And
That's right.
It
Yeah,
turns out
we
the
saw that.
stain on my floor comes up with tape. So now I
Oh,
have
shit.
this symbol on my floor permanently.
To the
Dude, that's
chagrin
so
of the
cool, 'cause
landlord,
Live in your
if they
brand.
could
Live in
see
your
it.
brand.
Yeah.
I caught that show, which was great, and I
Thanks.
totally missed that. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
Tying it back together. So,
Oh, yeah.
going into the questions here, these are for both of you guys. As artists, what is your relationship to the cover? What role does it play for you as musicians? And is it something that needs deeper thought?
Absolutely, and especially with Dungeon Synth, I think that the aesthetic is almost as important as the music. It's highly important.
Definitely, yeah. So Dungeon Synth, you don't really have a lot of different ways to express yourself, right? You've got
We don't have lyrics for the most part.
yeah, you've got honks,
Right.
you've got doots, and you've got you have tough honks and you have mournful honks. Yeah, so there's different varieties of honks and doots. And occasionally a bleep and a bloop, but that's about it, right? So like you're not singing usually lyrics about this, that, and the other thing, and you're usually and so maybe the project has a name, you have song titles perhaps, and then you've got the album art. Like it's a real big part of it, and I would say that one of the fun things for me doing Dungeon Synth has been to be able to dig into it. Now we so far have put art to music we already have,
Right.
with the singular exception of one of the covers that we'll be going over if we're going over all of these in the slideshow.
Oh yeah.
That's there. Except with the exception of one, all of the time that I've ever worked, almost in my entire life on anything, and certainly any of the stuff we've done, it's been in that other direction where we make the music and then we put art to the music. But I know
Right.
that there's people who do the opposite in this genre specifically. So yeah, there's an extremely deep tie-in, And then as an artist in general, like I have tons of music that hasn't come out because I haven't figured out the art for it, and like, you know, like it's actually kind of like an albatross sometimes for me. So like, you know, I'll just, you know, I usually let Josh get that done because otherwise my head will literally fucking explode.
That's
awesome.
Here at Cover to Coder, that we call the cover is the portal.
Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely.
I can see
Yeah,
that.
it's the first thing you see.
Oh,
And
cool.
kind of going off what you were saying there, so again, to both of you, as Dungeon Synth has started to sort of boom, we're seeing a lot of varying degrees of effort sonically and visually. How do you think someone in this scene can get noticed now? Does having a full story with diverse art, is that important? Is it networking? Or is it trying things at a different angle like you guys, kind of doing the neo-folk fusion? Or is it really just chaos?
Like anything else, you know, there's so many roads that you can take.
Dungeon Synth is a genre that values authenticity, and that comes in different forms. And it's ironic, considering that like there's a very fantastic and otherworldly element to the genre as well. So it's a dichotomy, and that causes a lot of confusion. But it means that what you're asking is sort of hard to answer, only because as long as what you're doing, you can do either, right? You can sit there and you can make something meticulously beautiful and spend every attention on every detail, or you can scrawl some bullshit goblin on a napkin. And like, if it resonates with people, it's going to resonate with people. And I'm being completely agnostic about it, but you know, we have opinions about whether or not we like the lower effort, higher effort, goofy, not goofy. There's just so much diversity in that scene right now. If you're trying to get noticed, the album cover does matter. And
Absolutely.
you can go any direction with it. You can either make it absurd and very, very low effort and low involvement, or you can go over the top and make something like get a Sylvana Massa or a Waclaw or any of these other artists that are like, you know, like really, really crushing it with like the almost like Frazetta level illustrations, or you just fucking scrawl that shit with a marker.
And no matter what you choose, there's going to be a few people that's going to decide that they're not going to listen to it based on that cover.
It's true, and actually it's just funny because Josh and I had the exact opposite sort of reaction to this. When something turns him off aesthetically, visually, right? You know, and we don't want people swinging flails or maces, so we're not going to name names. But like when he doesn't have anything like, you know, to really do with something visually, he just like sets it aside and never gets into it. Once people start complaining about it, I am fucking immediately ready for it. like once somebody like
he embraces the chaos.
Well, it's really just that's exactly it, because it's like
He's a Discordian.
That there's that too. So and if I hate it, then like I'm viscerally reacting to it now, and I'm in a better place than when I didn't give a fuck about anything, right? So like, to me, I don't have to like it, and once everybody else starts not liking it, I want to find what I like about it, because then it means I'm pushing against my own expectations in a way that keeps me going places I was not ready to go, like before I looked at the fucking thing that is otherwise now useless to me. You know?
Which is, so it's super cool. And it's super cool to see that, you know, you guys, as different as you are still together. Which brings me to my last question for you two. How did this union of Dungeon Synth Sorcerers begin? Did you accidentally accept the same quest? Did you drink the same ale at the Legless Wench? Because I see a lot of splits. But I don't necessarily see a lot of groups, to be honest. It seems like.
It's not common in Dungeon Synth.
Well, right, and we were, so the way that we started, to answer your question, I started building my own instruments, and a friend of mine asked me to come open up his show. And it was my first time doing live music by myself ever, and in any capacity for over a decade. And Shane came and checked it out, and he was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I wonder what it would sound like through my effects and the things that I can do." And that's how the band started. And we decided we wanted to base it off of Dungeons and Dragons and everything. We didn't find out about Dungeon Synth until we showed our friend
Our demo.
Our demo. And he was like, oh, so basically Dungeon Synth.
And what's interesting is like, so Dungeon Synth has a lot of different genesises.
Genocide?
Genocide. Well,
Phil
yikes,
Collins
yikes. So anyway,
the D.
yeah, it's a hard G. So, but the it has so many different flashpoints that you might not know about Dungeon Synth, but you might know about Black Aria by Danzig, which, by the way, has an amazing cover, right?
Yeah.
You know, you might know about, you know, the one-off weird sort of ambient track on a Black Sabbath album, right? You know, any of these things, or, you know, the intro of a death metal song, like something from Individual Thought Patterns by the band Death, or Sepultura's first album, or whatever. Or you might, you know, something like Brian Eno, right? Or it might be something like fucking Kraftwerk, right? And there's all these different, like, entry points and, like, crossovers that make, that influence and inspire the black metal musicians that are sort of like at one of those flashpoints to create this sort of dungeon synth. So the point that I guess I'm trying to get to is that when you step through the history, there's so many inflection points that if you didn't necessarily come at it from an angle of making that kind of music, once it hits you, you have so many different contextual reference points for it. So you might, I think you found out about Dungeon Synth in 2016, but then it's like you find out that you've heard a lifetime of shit that inspired the people to make this music that, like, you've kind of already heard, right? It was on black metal albums. It was on fucking video game soundtracks from 80s games, because it was everywhere. So, like, it's definitely a retroactive genre, and that describes things that already existed, which means that, like, the cultural and personal touchstones for it are huge. So yeah, we started this thing, and it was like, this is literally part for part exactly the same thing.
Yeah, we already had our stage set up for the most part. We already had our costumes and everything. Mm-hmm. We already knew what we were gonna do.
I had the first fucking story partially written, probably.
Right.
Like, it was, you know.
And then we found out, you know, he's like, oh, so basically Dungeon Synth, and I was like, yeah, play it cool. Go home, look it up, and then my life's never the same. Yeah.
So,
but we had to change nothing.
We didn't change a thing, and you know, and actually, I very intentionally we took different attitudes towards it. Once he said Dungeon Synth, I looked it up, I found out it existed, and I summarily dismissed it and ignored it immediately. I was like, I'm trying to make dark ambient music that's just improvised and whatever. That was our concept. That was what we were going to get together with. That's what I want to do. And then I intentionally ignored Dungeon Synth entirely on purpose for
about a year,
a good year. And then I dug in hard, but like before that, I just ignored it, you know, because I wanted to know that we were going to have our own style one way or the other. And just honestly, I don't like being fucking told what to do, right? Like that's like ultimately what it comes down to.
That's become a parent. Very apparent.
Yeah. So, well, so that I think that like that. Those sort of like various touchstones make it so universal for people who get into it to figure out. And I just wanted to say one other thing. You mentioned about like how there's more if you dig in, and I'm just gonna say one thing I'm proud about what we've done is that like with our band, if you like it and you want to dig in, there's nothing that doesn't have an explanation.
That's true.
Yeah.
There is a lot of detail in the lore that I haven't actually had a chance to divulge, but I have, you know, we haven't really had a chance to divulge in different contexts. But everything that happens, like there's layers to that shit. You know, we're
well, I'm seeing that there's a lot of teasers on your
style.
band camps too about stories coming soon.
Yeah,
Tales coming soon. They're coming.
Well, I mean,
I started the wiki, but I haven't published it yet.
This is actually a great segue for me to begin with Phranick.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we go, and my first question.
Yeah.
About Frantic, which is phenomenal. I mean, the new album, the one before, are these incredible journeys. They're varied. They take you on this quest. And I want to know more about that world. And I know you say it's very layered, but can you give us just sort of a brief synopsis on this world and how it kind of developed?
The back of the book. The back of the book.
The back of the book.
The back of the book.
Maybe
yeah.
the inside.
So, well, there's a number of different things, right? So I'm looking at 2 album covers right now. So
Yeah.
the one on the left is from The Weave is a Pulse, and the Pulse runs through us, and The Weave is a Pulse, which is basically a collection of stories about Phranick, and he has a home world. His home world is called Jwerl. That's Jwerl, and it's a planet a little bit somewhere between, say, Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms, so Faerun and planet and Oath from which is, it's funny because like if
They
you talk,
mailed it in there.
they literally mailed it in, but like when Gygax made it, it's it looks like O Earth, it's the letter O and then ERTH, but like it's like Oath, like you were from Brooklyn. It's like
Hey.
they literally
Hey,
said
wow.
that in Dragon Magazine.
This is
You know,
Oath,
like,
right?
what the fuck? So, just in case, like, anybody says, like, you can't be goofy in D&D,
Yeah.
right? So, like, with Jwerl, it's actually a homebrew campaign world that I made for my D&D campaigns that I run. And Phranick and Naginah are from that planet, but their whole sort of... and, you know, it's funny you said that the cover is a portal. It literally is on The
It's
Weave
literally-
is a Pulse.
Right, it is a portal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so and
Nailed it.
that actually that portal and everything about that gets explained right in the first story, which I like. Just it's like fan service for me. Like whenever I see something, I'm like, I don't want to read this whole book to figure out what the fuck's going on here. So I wanted to make the first story about the cover.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So Jwerl is very much a standard fantasy world with elves and dwarves and no gnomes that anybody's ever found. But, you know, like, and it's a
Yeah.
first edition campaign world. Phranick and Naginah are very high level characters from there, but, like, they basically gave up the adventuring life and decided to become musicians. And you know, just shit always seems to happen. And they have to, you know, go back and start doing dumbass adventure or shit. Not that like just touring is boring either, but yeah. And then and the other cover here is actually is from Earth. You can see that there's clearly medieval king with a cross, and this is the album that I was talking about where I had the art and then I sort of worked backwards. I pulled together some things I had already written and then reconceptualized them to kind of go along with the art. But Phranick, the character has so he has participated not only in these genres but something called crypt hop, and I've actually had the pleasure of ghostwriting a couple songs for him. Like I write the lyrics and he delivers them, right? So but in one of his other forays to Earth many years ago, that would be the cover of that king with the face cut out, which is from Avenged Creations. I saw the artwork and I was just like, I need this immediately, and I need to put music around it. I wouldn't normally, so the idea.
So you sought this out. You
Yes,
clawed this one.
I saw it, and as somebody said, "Hey, I got some extra pieces. They're like $50 a piece. Just gonna toss them." And I looked into it, and it's like it's not like a bullshit artist who just it's somebody who like drew that
Right.
by hand and like tossed.
Right.
It was just like, yeah, no one's buying, so I'll just drop the price. Like fuck yeah, like I'm poor as shit, and I like making doots, so I grabbed it and stuffed that music around it. So yeah, so there's like, in terms of the lore and the universe and the world, and there's also an adventure that I've been working on, a story that I've been working on in the Spelljammer sort of universe. So like Phranick and Naginah both, that they've toured in these places. They've toured in the Forgotten Realms, which is pretty much going to be a big part of the, tie-in with the first full length for Sombre. It's going to be largely based on the Forgotten Realms. So they go everywhere, they tour everywhere, but yeah, the home planet Jwerl is actually a creation of mine that comes from a homebrew D&D campaign that I've been
So cool.
adding to for a decade now.
Hell yeah.
Wow. So you have 10 years worth of work on this story. So you
In a
put
way,
out
yeah.
one novella, right? Which barely scratches the surface probably of all that you have. So When's the 800 pager coming out?
Well, I'll say this, right? It's hard. I don't want to write checks that my bipolar depression can't cash, but I started working on the outline of a book that should go along with our full length. And, we don't know. I don't want to promise anything because that's like a really big... I don't know if you know this, but writing a book is a spiritually fucking draining endeavor.
Oh, yes.
Because you have to, like... Every time you tell a character to say something, you have to think about the kind of person they might be, whether they would say something, and that inevitably leads you to the eventual conclusion that you should spend, however fucking painful it might be, at least a minute or two thinking about what kind of a person you are. And I don't recommend that, as a matter of fact. And actually, I think that's like something that comes through in the writing a lot, is like me consistently recommending not doing that.
Or can I get the name of the artist on both of these?
Yeah. Oh, so on the purple one, it's Avenged Creations, and you can find that on the Phranick.bandcamp.com for that album, which is called Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night.
Very cool.
The astute observer might notice that's from a Shelley poem and a Deep Space Nine episode. And then the other one was done by a local artist named Aaron White, and he's an amazing sort of horror-themed, does incredible work with like Cthulhu, and I commissioned that piece from him specifically because I wanted something that was psychedelic and interesting and otherworldly, but at the same time, like had a dark tint to it that like would stay within the genre, even though that album is probably like pushes the edges of the genre more, and that cover pushes the edges of the genre more. But it's maybe not. I think I've seen lots of stuff like that. But anyway, I have the painting. I just haven't been able to pick it up because of COVID, so that sucks.
It's very striking, and it really works for that particular album.
Thanks.
Which it just feels like this organic, open-ended.
Yeah.
It's like textural. There's just like so much going on in there, and I think the cover is perfect for it. So when you're creating these sort of sonic worlds, what's your process? Like you're sitting at your DAW, you got nothing on there.
Yeah.
Go.
So
where do you go from there?
I mean, for me, it's
your
easy.
dog going.
Yeah, I get no doubt, dog. So I gotta get up like a synthesizer, and I'll probably start with a pad. Or something like that. Josh sometimes comes with like a melody that he's plucked out a little bit, and then we reverse engineer it, and I start figuring out what I'm gonna play. Early on, we very much got into a room and did that together, right? Where we just and then recently,
That's cool.
For other reasons, in addition to COVID, obviously. We spent a couple months apart, and we started putting together stuff by maybe just spending a couple minutes on the couch before we split off, doing a quick line, and then I would manipulate it a whole bunch instead of like writing a whole song together that we played in real time. We would time shift that the way that you might expect a Doth, because like what we did, we could have probably done on a 4-track for the first year.
Oh, absolutely.
So like we just played music together, right? Now it's more of like a layered sort of process, like you're talking about, where I start. But yeah, I pull up a synthesizer and I make a fucking noise, and if I like it, it will just take me to wherever the hell I need to be, and I just start. I'll fucking do anything.
I usually start with my melodies. I just pluck notes until I find the note that resonates with me.
Yeah.
The most that day, and it's almost always in
A minor. Yeah, because he's got a diatonic instrument, so it's every note goes up like in a scale. So you can't really do accidentals or sharps and flats
without meaning it.
Without meaning to it, and like tuning it, and knowing that note's going to be that, and what that means for folks who aren't necessarily musically aware. Diatonically means you're going up by a tone or a semitone that is on a scale, so it will never sound bad against other notes in that same scale. But that leaves you some limited possibilities in terms of other notes you might play that are associated with other genres of music.
By
So
default, it's all the white keys.
it's all the white keys on a piano, no black keys, or all the black keys on the piano, no white keys. Either way, you get the same sort of diatonic vibe. And it creates a very medieval sound of music. And honestly, this, like, in the case of Dungeon Synth, it's a lack of, and I'm saying this with love and care because I don't care about being good. It doesn't matter. A lack of ability playing keys that has led most of the music in Dungeon Synth to sound medieval. It sounds medieval because it's modal. Modal means that it's based on this diatonic scale instead of having accidentals like blues music or Asian music and Indian music or Middle Eastern music or Brazilian music. Right. It's very, very much in that tradition of the European piano where the white keys or the black keys go up and down. And that's like, it's just sort of a circumstance of people who have a desire to create that overlaps with their affinity for that kind of music, which is also true in metal, which is also true in video game scores and all of the other touch points. So, like, yeah, there's this thing about the diatonic thing that made it very easy to do Dungeon Synth music immediately, no matter what. And, like, in your case, it's because that's all the notes that exist. And in the case of, like, even me on a keyboard, like, dog, I suck at keyboard. Like, I'm not like a musician like that. You give me a guitar and I mean, I don't want to be cocky, but I will probably make one of your best friends cry. But like when it comes to like the keyboard, I look like a monkey fucking a football, man. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Which is funny because most people, well, in the genre at least, equate you with being on the keyboard.
Playing the keyboard. And I probably look capable, but that's part of the magic trick.
So, what artists inspire you guys? Like, who do you constantly go back to that is sort of your, wellspring of inspiration?
So for me, it's not a Dungeon Synth act, but it's closely related.
Yeah.
I usually go back to an artist known as Nest, which is Aslak Tolonen. He plays the Kantala, and he's from Finland. And it's a neo-folk project, but it's very much in the same vein, fantasy-based storytelling through the same instrument that I play. Other than that, I usually listen to Tenhi, which is another neo-folk band from Finland. I really enjoy those. So those are my touch points I always go back to personally. What about you?
Well, I guess for me, like, there's sort of 4 artists that are in like my pillars, right? And none of them are Dungeon Synth, right? But then I'll mention a Dungeon Synth artist that inspires me. So like Leonard Cohen, Brian Eno,
nice,
Lana Del Rey, and Jerry Lee Lewis. So
those seem oddly connected there.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. It's been a weird fucking 40 years. But no, as far as Dungeon Synth goes, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm only inspired by the people I know and the people that I've had the opportunity and the honor of working with. Which is a lot of people and like a lot of like greats in the genre I'm fortunate to have been able to work with. But I'm almost dogmatically, as a rule, more interested in usually talking about that. So, like, think Vandalorum, amazing, and I hear that, and I'm like, this is extremely good, and I want to make music like that. Murgrind, I hear that, and I'm like, this is extremely good, I want to make music. Isaac Cooper's projects, Tyrannus, I hear that, and I'm like, that's raw as fuck, I need the spirit of that in my work, Min, Valestraz,
wrong.
Jason from
Guild of Lore,
of course,
Yep.
who we owe a big deal of respect to for this whole thing happening and meeting y'all.
Yeah.
So we have to pay respects to brother Jason. So I've been listening to too many Cornel West interviews, but anyway, look, the thing is, I'm more interested in the people that I work with now and developing the scenius than I am in sort of like idolizing sacred cows. I think all sacred cows should be slaughtered, and that includes any of the artists I just mentioned that are my friends. If they, you know, I mean it. Like if they want to, they should be reinventing themselves the whole time, and I bet they're going to, because that's why I like them.
Yeah.
And they have.
What's that?
I said, and they have.
They have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To this point.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be Dungeon Synth. You know, you said it yourself that Dungeon Synth is a collective from, you know, all different genres, from all different places. I mean, Lana Del Rey has a very haunting voice. Her songs are very haunting and have like a build up to them, kind of like Dungeon Synth.
It's
so
synth music.
I see how that would be influencing.
It's definitely synthesizer music.
Yeah.
In the same way that like Kraftwerk is directly tied into what has influenced Dungeon Synth artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, no, and it's modern. It's modern use of synthesizers to just build a whole aesthetic.
Well, Captain Shook, he mentioned in our interview with him, and this is a lost part of the interview, the Enya album, the first Enya album.
Yeah.
And we listened to it, we went, gosh, this is kind of a Dungeon Synthy album. And like even the cover is her with these like wolf dogs on the front in black and white.
Definitely
and I was
proto
like,
DS.
you could
Yeah,
you could put
nerds
this
would
on
call
a
that
Dungeon
proto
Synth,
TS.
compilation anywhere.
It's true.
This is one of the only things that makes me think DS could ever be not niche music is its tie to kind of pure moods, and which was in Walmart or whatnot all the time. So who knows?
It's true.
It could happen.
I'll take some Martin Denny any day.
Occasionally, I'll hear something that reminds me of the records my grandparents had.
Oh yeah, some
And
Exotica.
It would have like it'd have like a picture of like a ocean on it. It's like moods of love.
Yeah. Yo, so I used to go down to this new age store in the downtown of my tiny little fucking town. And they always had these new age tapes. And yeah, I would usually pick one, usually based on how like the least corny cover. They were
Lords of
always
Dance.
corny, right? But the least corny cover. I would go home with it, and they, like Celestial Happenings. It's like,
Hey, that's an album. That's a Dungeon Synth album name right there.
Right there, Celestial Happenings.
I
Coming in,
do have a
2021.
new age side project called Paul Edwards.
Is it just you holding a crystal on the cover?
Yeah.
Not
It's
yet,
gotta
but
be.
that's totally
In a
the
tie-dye
concept. That's like you're 100%. The idea is I'm trying to get my hair grown long enough and like oil, take off my shirt, oil it up, get a vest on, and
Get
the
a nice
whole
gold chain.
nice gold chain, and just like
You
Paul
just
Edwards.
want to be Kenny Rogers, don't you?
Yeah.
You're really trying
Kenny
to get
Rogers.
in there.
Yo,
That one
This is-
album keeps
this is
the
a-
fire.
This is
That's
a
right.
really weird aside, but like Stevie, my DM, one of my deepest friends, one of the cat that kind of brought me and Josh together, him and a couple other people. So I don't know who my real dad is, right? Really, really uplifting. And it's so like the story in my family goes that it was like a famous country singer, and that's I don't know that that's true, right? I never really investigated. I didn't give any fucks either. So I didn't really get into it.
If
But-
he didn't give a fuck, why should you?
why should I? So I didn't really look into it. But when I told Stevie that, because he's my best friend and doesn't give a flying fuck about my feelings as a result, he just turned it into a joke about like, oh yeah, Shane's dad is Kenny Rogers, and just started telling everybody that, like it was back in high school and shit was funny. But it's gotta know when to hold them and when to fold them, guys.
That's right.
That's right.
I couldn't think of a better like virtual.
Yeah, that would be a compliment. That would be a compliment for Inks.
Yeah.
So now we're at the first Sombre Arcane cover, the first album you guys did together.
Yep.
And this is the demo album. And my first question on this is, whose corpse did y'all dig up to get this photograph of these hands? Or
Nice
is
try,
that just
officer.
Naginah's hands after like shredding all night on his
There's been some nights where I feel like
Yeah.
that, but
yeah.
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
You need to moisturize there, brother.
or else I'd have to kill you. No, my good friend Ryan Jarvis of Suture and Soil did this album cover, and I don't think that he's answered that question for me.
No, we have.
So I can't answer it.
So right, we don't know exactly what grave was dug up, officer.
So his artistic style is really cool. He's done a few pieces of art for us, our tour poster, our logo, a whole bunch of stuff. But he works in a way, we come up from the punk scene together, and his art style is kind of basically has morphed from the punk flyer. You know, just like cut out pictures and whatnot. And
it's collage style.
Yeah, exactly. So this piece of art is actually like an inch thick of a whole bunch of different layers that he's put on, which you can't tell here. But it
digitizes
it. They're basically, imagine if you know, I know that you do, but for the listener, if you know Photoshop or anything like that, if you're working with layers, he doesnno know how to use Photoshop. He's never wanted to. Everything is an actual layer.
Okay.
So,
no, it's great manual sort of analog piece of art. That
You know what? You can really tell too, which is cool because we've talked about in some other episodes. Digital art often looks, regardless of how good it looks, it's really hard to not make it look like it's things patched together. And this literally looks like some poor grandpa's severed hands.
Oh my God, this poor guy never took a vacation.
Grandpa Mathis, you poor son of a bitch.
Washed his hands with tobacco.
Rest in
one
power.
too many times.
So it does, and I see what you mean about that punk style, because it has that, like, I'm putting these severed hands in the ground, I'm taking a fucking picture, and that's your cover. Give me
Well, I
Dr.
mean, and
Bucket
honestly,
and
that's
some
a
weed.
big part of the Dungeon Synth ethos is the overlap. If you're talking about some of the verticals that make Dungeon Synth what it is as a genre, one of them definitely is sort of that punk rock ethos of do it yourself, do it, for sure.
Well,
and that's right there.
Yeah, I mean, the cover's great, and for the listeners, if you haven't seen it yet or you're not on the slides, when you look at it, it's two hands. One is holding a stick wand that is actually overlapping the border, which I love that because
it's a great
detail of like, oh, this is overlapping into your world. Like
it's
not just
that's
music
fucking
anymore.
great. Yeah, it's almost entirely as a result of the style of process.
Right.
Because you wouldn't do that digitally, right? Like that normally, I mean,
Maybe
flexing about our own album, but like you'd have to do it on purpose, right? But Ryan just, Ryan had to do it even more on purpose because he's tucking that into the hand on the right and then over the fucking border. Right.
It's authentic.
There's no way that was not on purpose. To your point, right?
Yeah.
I've never ever thought about our fucking demo cover this much. I get to see this on people's shirts all the time. People flex about wearing our shirt, so I'm proud of that,
I mean,
music
it's a powerful
sucks,
cover. I mean, right there, just the simple thing of the two gnarled, witchy or wizardy hands immediately is immediate symbolism for
it is
what
kind of
is
gender
about to take
neutral
place.
too. That could go either way. Like you don't know whose
exactly.
hands that are, and that's like makes it infinitely sort of relatable, which I enjoy. And then like, if you think about, I think there's a fetishization of youth that I like to subvert, and this does that too, right? Like I've seen so many fucking young, sexy motherfuckers wearing our shirt, right? Like, we went camping with a couple of those dudes recently.
with these old hands just caressing their chest. Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's it's not like, hey, look at this. I don't know. It calls itself.
Right.
It calls
this
attention
isn't
to
Harry
itself.
Potter. This wizard has earned every spell with the wrinkles.
Every wrinkle on these.
No Mary Sue here.
Yeah. I almost thought of the bundle of sticks man from Led Zeppelin 4.
Oh God, that's so good. Yeah.
When I saw this, because I mean this is a more intense version of that, but like the old man just carrying this bundle of sticks, like it. it doesn't tell you much, but it tells you enough. And then when I listened to the demo, I heard the Saddest Thing track, which was one of my favorites.
Love that song.
Oh,
So good.
dude, I love that
so
song.
good. And
Awesome.
it had a little bit of that Robert Plant wail to it.
So that was a cover song, and that was by a group called Changes.
Okay.
We Josh turned me onto it, and
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a wonderful song. We sort of retired it, but because we really don't want to get stuck on one thing too long, and
Right.
we always, I was talking about it before, we always want to fucking subvert ourselves and blah blah blah, chaos, yeah, et cetera, Hail Eris, whatever, but it's just so, yeah, anyway, that song definitely is, I was always influenced by Led Zeppelin, and it's funny, you mentioned Led Zeppelin, that album cover. But to me, the most iconic and influential Led Zeppelin visual is when that wizard does the thing in the Song Remains,
Song
the,
Remains the
Same
Same.
live album.
For
That fucked me up, and it might be because I did a lot of acid when I was 14 and was watching it. But it's an
It was
underdeveloped
Wizards
brain.
from then on.
You should
And
not
his
do
arms
that.
reflect, right? Or repeats the
it's-
arms a bunch. Yeah,
exactly.
I remember that.
It's a similar effect to what's done in 2 dimensions on the Paranoid cover for Black Sabbath.
So I gotta
Right,
ask, is that you guys singing on? Do
Yeah.
you guys sing on your? I love your guys' voices together.
Thank
There's
you.
something. It's not. They're good, but they're not. They're not you can tell it's not trained. It's just this awesome, authentic sounding harmony.
Yeah.
That
These
just
are road
sounds
bards.
like. Yeah, exactly. It's really cool. So
there's something on the new album for you that I think you're gonna really enjoy then,
Yeah.
because there's one track that we put vocals on, and it's actually based on Elminster, well, not fucking Ed Greenwood story.
Good note about this song once you're done with that thought.
That we had, basically it's an Ed Greenwood story called Spellfire, very famous sort of Forgotten Realms novel,
Yes,
which also
yes,
has
that's right.
one of my favorite covers ever with the Dracolich and the woman just like Chandra Chasseur just smashing it with fucking magical energy. Set in the Forgotten Realms, one of my most impactful things in the world to me. But I took the song lyrics and I wrote some chords around it, and then we turned that into a track that's going to be on the upcoming album. And really, we're going to be keeping, spoiler alert, I guess, we're keeping the trend of just doing one song per album with vocals on it for now. Because I don't know.
that's honestly, it's again you guys kind of putting your eye in the whole
Yeah.
fuck you, because I don't hear a lot of vocals. I love vocalization in songs, and
Well,
I don't get that very much. So I
yeah.
really appreciate that in your
Cool.
guys' stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it breaks it up nice. Especially when he asked, one of the questions was, how do you differentiate yourself in the genre of Dungeon Synth? Is to do those little eccentric things like that. That there really is no rule to it, but it's something unique and nice. And when you're listening to that demo, it kind of hits you because you're expecting Dungeon Synth all the way through.
Yeah. Well,
Can't wait to hear your love ballads.
This song, of course, in our traditional, happy-go-lucky and fun fashion, this song on the upcoming album is definitely about, a sorceress who dies a brutal death. So, it's really, really, yeah, we're love ballads.
ask
It's
her to
probably a
wizard
little
wrong.
further down the line.
What's the there was a love ballad that we've been joking about the entire time.
Oh, God, yeah.
From are you guys familiar with A Mighty Wind?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Mitch and Mindy have a live ballad, and she plays the zither, which my instrument is a version of.
that's
so, she an auto harp she plays, but differences nobody cares about. We've been talking about covering that as a joke. We'll see.
That'd be great.
Maybe one day.
Well, just like kind of my last question on this album, and before I ask it, what was the name of the artist on this one?
Ryan Jarvis. He goes by Suture and Soil.
Suture
you can,
Soil.
you can find him on Instagram exclusively right now.
Cool.
I noticed that this is actually on Spotify, and I do a lot of listening on Spotify. It kind of brought up the question for me for those young or middle-aged young synthers out there that are getting their music out there. What is the process for getting your music on Spotify or even YouTube Music and Google Music and all that stuff?
So, for this album, we went through our CD label, Dark Age Productions. He put it out for us.
Okay.
But
he uses. I happen to know that the distributor that he did it through is CD Baby. So if you really talking to answer your question, and I love this shit. To answer your question the way you're asking it about like I'm a motherfucker that wants to put out music, like fucking do it. Don't think about it. Ask questions later. Put it out and then forget about music for the rest of your life and get a real job, right? But you need to scratch that itch. So if you're gonna scratch that itch, what you need to do is you get out there, and basically there's all of these places. They usually only take Bandcamp as an exception.
Right.
The reason that most of this stuff happens on Bandcamp is for Bandcamp, you go sign up, you upload your shit, and you're done. You're gonna
Yeah,
upload
so
WAV
easy.
files, and that's it. That's why most of the genre happens on Bandcamp, and most micro genres and sort of the underground of music digitally exists almost fundamentally in Bandcamp.
Right.
But for Spotify, it's a little bit different. Spotify is like Apple Music, is like YouTube in a way, and really the easiest way to put things up in that fashion is to use what's called an aggregator. And an aggregator is a company that sits between you and these shops. These shops don't just let anybody put music in. Spotify wants you to prove that you're a real serious musician. Their criteria is kind of annoying. Actually getting your stuff directly submitted with an organization like that is nearly impossible.
We want your credentials. We want your history. What do you got there? Where are you
What
from?
is it, son? What's up with these hands?
Exactly. Spotify did not build itself to be an egalitarian enterprise necessarily, right? And lots of people have talked about that. We don't have to beat it to death, but at the same time, if you want your shit on Spotify, which is where I listen to music as well, or Tidal, which is actually the one that treats all of the artists the best. You get more money from Tidal than anywhere else. Thank you, Jay-Z.
Wow, Jay-Z.
I'm telling you, dog. You know, like,
at a better quality.
At a better quality, nonetheless. So I mean, and I swear we have no fucking corporate ties with Tidal.
Yeah,
Ding.
This episode was
It's
brought to
Tidal.
you by Tidal.
Sponsor.
Yeah. If we get sponsored by anyone, I want it to be Nectar, but never mind that.
I want Bed Bath & Beyond because we go through candles.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good point.
Oh, man, you got the Shook syndrome. Candles everywhere, huh?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, well, he burns our candles.
Oh, and actually in this, in the music video that we have coming out, we burn his candles back.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so we burn each other's candles. You don't have to tell
Oh,
anybody.
that's so
I
sweet.
love that.
Yeah, isn't it? So what the fuck were we talking about? I had like a real spicy take.
How you put stuff up.
Oh yeah,
on
so
YouTube.
DistroKid is one of them. TuneCore is another one. CD Baby is sort of the oldest one in the book. They've been doing it the longest. They are kind of traditional. They have fucking CD in the name, so that should not surprise you. I went to their fucking warehouse, and it is a sad pile of broken dreams from the late 90s. Anyway, just aisles of sad shit, but and just like poorly designed album covers. Yo, I gotta talk to my dude and see if I can get them in there. Does any of y'all live near Oregon, like Portland, Oregon?
All of us.
Portland, it's right by their headquarters. I think it's right by the airport in PDX.
Yeah. Do y'all live out that way by chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you get us
Okay,
in,
so
we will do
look,
a
we
field
got to
trip.
get you guys into there to go through that factory and look at covers, because literally, dude, when I came back from that trip, we didn't get a chance to go there because we had so many other people that we loved that we needed to visit. But I was like, Josh, we got to go to the factory. We got to go to the factory. We got to go down to the fucking factory. It's so weird, just like
We
poorly
will send you every
designed.
Smash Mouth CD we find.
Oh my god! It's no, because this is all. This was the first DIY spot. Like, if you wanted to put out a CD, you didn't know what to do. You just wanted to go to a website and say, make CDs for me. This place did it. They would take all your shit. They would talk to you about what formatted they needed the artwork in. They would take your shitty paint, MS Paint artwork and fucking print it just the way you asked them to. And then, like, everything from, like, you know, churches that wanted to, like, put out their services all the way to, like, indie hardcore bands that did fucking spin kicks in VFWs, dog. I'm telling you, it was fascinating.
You can find it here, folks. I don't know. We've got it all.
Right.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, we gotta run through there with a camera and y'all dorks, and it would be fucking hilarious. So anyway, DistroKid, CD Baby, and those, all of those different services have their own pros and cons. But one of the things that's good about them is they will be a place where you can, a one-stop shop where you put your shit up, and they have a pricing structure that's either you pay annually,
and they just distribute it.
and they just distribute it to all those places, and then you can see that shit. You're gonna want to give yourself like a 6-week lead time, because sometimes that shit takes a while to go up,
Right.
and you're gonna want to obviously make sure your I's are dotted, your you know, crosses are crossed, because once that shit goes up, changing it's hard. Right,
Okay.
so that would be if you're really trying to, and you know what, honestly, fucking just email Northeast Dungeon Siege at gmail.com if you have any questions on how to get that done. One of the things that, you know, we really want to do is make sure that shit fucking happens. So like, if you have shit that you want to do,
because for us, we have a host, and then we send it to the different places, and it's relatively easy for us to get up on, you know, the different platforms. But when I was looking at, you know, albums, I was like, oh, there's a whole process.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge, and you know, honestly, it doesn't matter, right? Because let's look at it this way, right? There's going to be 100 or 200 people we're going to actually sell stuff to. We want everybody to be able to stream it. We have about almost 200 people a month who are like monthly listeners to our stuff on Spotify. That's really fucking modest. And I promise you, those 200 people could not listen to us on Spotify. They would listen to us on Bandcamp. They would listen to us on Tidal. They would listen to us on whatever the fuck we decided to do, and not on what we didn't decide to
Find
do.
your following.
They're into what we're doing, and that's what brings it. Nobody accidentally digs this esoteric fucking weirdness, right? Like,
VH1, we've got
but that's one of the
Sombre
appeals. That's one of the appeals, right? Like, once you're in the club, you know, or you, don't usually like find it on your own. Maybe you do sometimes, but a lot of times you hear it word of mouth, and that's kind of one of the special things about it, and why like cassette tapes are kind of a big thing about it too.
And specials, different things that come with your albums, like, you know, like I did the book, but we also mailed that out with the components for a fireball spell, which would be like bat guano.
Yeah, so right at the beginning of COVID, I have like a box of bat guano, and I'm on the porch like dumping it in. My wife was like, "No, you need a mask, you need gloves, you're gonna get
some bat
arrested."
shit with the album.
So I was like, well, the bottles with corks, but I was like, I don't want these corks accidentally coming out. So I
some poor
melted
kid,
wax
some
on
poor
top of
kid
it.
in like northern Montana is like trying to use your bat shit to make a fireball spell right now.
Well, you know, if he gets it done, he's gonna let us know. And then, I made somebody's nose bleed at a show once.
Oh, that's funny.
Because it was very funny. Like, when I'm performing, I'll point the wand at different things, and evidently I pointed at this one person
at MagFest.
And their nose started bleeding, and then they posted about it on Reddit, and somebody like got at us and was like, "Did you know about this?" I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
So we wrote it into our lore. If you look in our CD, like the magical
amazing.
abilities of the wand, it's like if you use it in the wrong.
It basically, whenever it's being used not on its home plane, which would be World, which would be how it was being used at MagFest on Earth, right? Then it has a potential to cause minor injury, nosebleeds, scratching, irritation,
Brilliant.
things like that.
It's amazing.
So
Speaking of wands,
I like it. I like the segue.
We'll segue to wands and harps for your next album here, which I love this cover. I mean, I love Grandpa Hands.
That's funny.
But this is such a stark, like, awesome, beautiful cover. So, folks, for you listeners looking at the slides or not, it's very much similar. I'm assuming this is the same artist as the last one.
No,
So
actually,
no.
Oh, no.
This
No,
is funny.
we actually I stole the border from the initial one with his blessing, and I swapped around some letters, and created other ones with pieces of the ones that he had on the demo. But this is actually a picture of Phranick's wand that he performs with, and it's also a picture of my harp, and just did digital effects to get it where it is.
Oh, that
Yeah,
is
and
badass.
is
Talk
that a
about
harp you
DIY.
No. We found this actually down the road. There was on a whim we decided to go to a antique store.
Yeah,
down
I'm
the
from
road.
New England, right? We're from New England, and we have, like, antique stores. You know, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting an antique store. And we were just driving by one, and we go in those sometimes because they have fucking gargoyles and shit, right? You never know, right? So we pop in, and there's this harp there, and it's like, I think the price tag was what?
It was 600.
600.
Which, for what it is, and they didn't know what they had, was actually less than half of what it was worth.
Oh, nice.
So
Go
I
to
was ready
antique
to
stores.
drop it, and then
$500
I'll let him
cash,
talk to you
pal.
about it.
Well, I grew up. I grew up. My dad was an antique dealer, right? So, and we traveled up and down the East Coast in antique stores. He fixed antique player pianos. So
Adopted
basically,
dad for those that.
yeah, my adoptive
Not
father.
Kenny G. Not Kenny G.
Not yes, exactly. Not Kenny G or Kenny Rogers. Yes.
Or Kenny Rogers.
So, but you know, he yeah, we were basically fucking, you know, vagabonds in a way, right? So, like, when it comes to haggling and shit, I didn't grow up to be a dishonest person, so I don't do it a lot,
He
right?
doesn't flex those muscles.
But I have the skill, right? So, and I'm just like, we're gonna get this fucking 350 or whatever. Like, I don't remember what I said.
You
Our
said
next
3, and I was
cover
like,
photo.
3.
That's half. That's literally half of what they're asking. There's no way we're gonna get it for that.
Yeah. So I was like, and I laid it out. I was like, if I'm going to ask them what the deal is with it in those words alone, and if they don't have any emotional connection to it from their description, I'm immediately going to say, will you take $300? Right?
And that
If they-
shit happened.
And that shit happened. basically,
That's amazing.
basically what happened.
We had to go to different buildings. It was a
Once I knew we were going to a fucking different building, I'm like, it's ours, and it's ours cheap. They're never gonna. So they were like, oh well, we don't really know. It was an estate sale, I guess, and some of our person that works in another sort of consignment spot in a town over. Put it here because they're not moving it. I was like, well, fucking, that's all the information I'm ever going to need. I'm like, you know, well, can you ask them if they'd be willing to talk about it? And they're like, yeah, they'd be willing to talk about it. I'm like, where is it? And they're like, do you want to talk to her? I'm like, no. I was like, I want to go there, right? So we go there. And then it's like, by the time we've gone there, she's like, where, you know, I got it. And I was like, what's the deal with it? She's like, I got it in an estate sale. And I'm like, just about ready to spring it, and then Josh is like, yeah, well, I play them, and then she, like, keys in on the fact that he plays them. I see her face light up. I'm like, this is fucking ours, dog. This shit is ours, right? So, yeah, I asked $350, and she took it on the spot. She's like, for someone who plays it, absolutely. So that was awesome.
hell yeah.
That's amazing. You didn't even have to play my crippled brother here.
Yeah.
Really, he really likes harps.
Yeah, you might just like play around with it. I don't know.
So the funny thing about this cover is, and I don't mean this, I don't say this to denigrate Josh's work at all, but the whole entire album, this is true of, even of my engineering on it and my performance musically. We were going on tour, and we decided at the last minute we were going to make a tour-only release. So we had about a week and a half to put that album together. And it's really kind of like a snapshot of stuff that we had already been working on, but it's arcane on the arcane side, mundane on the organic side, right? And the arcane side is all produced stuff, right? Stuff with synthesizers and whatnot. And the mundane side, I grabbed the acoustic guitar and mandolin, and we did like and he used the harp and the contola, and we just built a whole acoustic version of a couple of our songs, right? So
Awesome concept.
That
Love
thank
Yeah,
you.
and it's
actually.
funny because that was actually one of my questions there. Is I noticed you had the arcane and mundane. I was wondering if that was like a metaphorical joke for your roles in the band. You've got the bard playing the simple melodies. You've got the wizard like, yes, let me put some chords over that.
I love that interpretation. That was not probably intentional, but it's right on brand.
Absolutely.
And the funny thing about it is that this album cover and the album itself was done very, very quickly, and like it really was pretty slapped together. I know I know you had to fight.
I mean, it was a
with-
couple hours.
it was just like boom, 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 very quickly. It's almost in contrast to the one before it, in the sense that that was a very intentional, laborious, and passionate project from a friend of ours who deeply cares about us and what we're doing.
We were just
and
in
this
the
was
room.
like, we gotta get this shit fucking out of here. We gotta
were in the
fucking
room.
get the rental
I think it
fans.
was-
We gotta buy fucking candles. What the fuck?
We recorded the music for it, and then in that same session, I was like, "Drop your wand on the table." I didn't take a photo of it.
Which is not a euphemism, by the way. But
Well, I mean, it's still very much on brand. That's one of the things. If you look at your guys' Bandcamp and you go to your merch, your tapes are all black with just the simple white letters. You've got the pouches are all black, and I think especially in Dungeon Synth, it's important to carry that over into the real world. So when the person gets it, it's on brand and it looks exactly how it sounds.
Which I gotta say, you guys need to one up Jason because he's got leggings. You guys need to
Yeah,
have jock straps.
I know.
Yeah, we're the
Get the
Sombre
jock
Arcane leggings,
straps.
guys.
Yeah.
do we drop the dime on the thongs yet?
Yeah, with the
Like,
You can have
Banana
Sombre
hammock.
on the
It's
front,
actually a-
arcane on the back.
wand on the front.
If you guys
Yeah,
do
yeah,
thongs,
exactly. It's a wand on the front.
There will be pictures on our Instagram of each of us wearing those thongs.
That is
Show
true.
you guys.
That is true.
If only. So we just need to make 3.
Yeah, exactly. That's, you know what? That's done. That's
We
great.
can get this together.
Yeah, let's get this together. And then instead of calling them the banana hammocks, if you could please call them plantain nests.
Yeah.
That would be really
Plantain
great.
nests.
Thank
Yes.
A shout out to Brennan.
They're
No, but that's
wand
great.
slings.
Shout out to Brennan from Alder Deep.
So I wanted to tie 2 things in real quick regarding this the Arcane Mundane release. The song where we're singing that you
Yeah.
were discussing is actually
Oh
on
yeah,
this.
it's on this.
Yes.
in
Landshar's
an early
leave taking,
version.
and Shane sent it, or he tweeted it at Ed Greenwood, which is, a hero of his.
Yes.
And Ed actually got back to us, and he said it was gorgeous. So,
Yeah, that's a big fucking deal.
so we had correspondence with Ed Greenwood. So that's cool.
Yeah, so we're legit. So when Hasbro comes at us for this Forgotten Realms album, I'm just gonna be like, yo, my boy Ed, the creator of the Forgotten Realms, I might mention, has decided that this shit's dope, and maybe you should too, and give us a sponsorship. Thanks for the money.
Bucket list check off right there.
That's right.
But no, I'm really incredibly proud of this album, considering how quickly we pulled it all together. That was back in our sort of studio space that we had, which recently caught on fire because the fucking whole world's a fucking fire. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's and that's actually in a place where we have that Northeast Dungeon Siege festival. And we were sort of like hopped up on energy from just having this fucking studio too, and like having all this fucking space to stretch out our legs. And like, you'll see I have a fucking air mattress here because like all of our shit had to come back, and now I'm out of
I figured
space.
that was for sound reasons. It really
No,
absorbs
no. There's nothing sound about
No,
sleeping
he's
on
out,
an air mattress.
he's out
every
of
day, yeah.
space, so he's using that instead of a bed.
So yeah, but and the Raven is actually like an incredible supporter of independent music, and like there's so many venues that are kind of fucking off now because everything's so hard. So I feel like if we do have a platform, I want to take a quick minute and shout out Chris from the Raven and the Raven in general for making sure that they've always supported specifically me, any fucking crazy idea I had, whether it was folk punk folks who wanted to set things on fire, or fucking Dungeon Synth festival for 3 days with Mortis headlining and just like us serving food called Pulled Orc. What the fuck?
Oh, did you get to touch Mortis's nose?
No, we didn't. No.
But I'll tell you a funny story about Josh going down into the basement. So Mortis is there, and he's getting his mask on, right?
Yeah, he's like what's the captain called?
Captain Morgan.
Yeah, you know the captain from Captain Morgan.
Oh, he's Captain Morganing.
He's Captain Morganing on the back of this couch that's against the wall with the big mirror that we have as part of the room. That's just how it came. And and I walk in and I'm in a frantic, I'm trying to find.
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes before we go on, and we're trying to find a power supply for an essential piece of equipment because we're total fucking nightmares.
So I've got all my armor on, and I've got my. I think we might have dropped.
Oh no,
No, we got you.
Oh, okay.
we're good. We're good.
So I got all my armor on, and I've got my hood on. I'm freaking out, and I go into the room, and he's there, and he says something to the effect of, "Why are you all dressed up? It's such a fucking waste of time," as he's like doing his mascara.
You're the Goblin Fabio.
You're the Goblin
from
Fabio. The Goblin Fabio.
The Goblin Lord.
The new Goblin Fabio and Daddy Papyrus split.
Get out
That
of
won't
here,
ever
Jared.
happen.
We're talking about antique stores and things like that. I mean, you guys come from a really old city.
Uh-huh.
How does that, like, just being in a place of such antiquity, like, affect your music? Which, in essence, you're using these ancient instruments and you have this old sound. Does the atmosphere of where you live, like, have anything to do with your sounds?
So absolutely A, but B, I don't know if you guys have any like old post-industrial cities where you are, but it's extremely fucking depressing.
Yeah, no, it's dark. It's dark. And so, I mean, if you fucked with Lovecraft Country at all, that first episode was literally filmed in the town next to mine. I was driving through downtown the other night, and it was misty, and I was like, yeah, this is a Lovecraftian fuck show. This is terrible, right? And it's dark. It's so much. The fact that so much of the year is spent in snow and sadness and despair and heartbreak.
In the howling winds, will the snows never cease? They seem to reach back forever.
Yeah, it's really a fucking nightmare. So, I would say yes, and I'm gonna say for myself, time fucks me up, yo. Time fucks me up, and I think about time and my fight with it more than anything else in the world. And I'm getting emotional. I want to fucking cry right now at the thought of people that I know and have loved and have lost, and then the amount of amazing people that have lived incredibly rich lives and are completely forgotten to the ravages of time is specifically and subverting that. And I think that fuck what you heard. Any artist wants to live forever, and they want to live forever through their fucking music. They don't want to have to fucking go through the pain of experiencing, existence for perpetuity, but they want to fucking leave something that lasts forever, or they don't fucking do it. Why record something? Why take something from the fourth dimension and put it in the third dimension so that people in the future can fucking find it if you're not dedicated to the idea of part of you fucking living on? So I don't participate in the illusion that nobody wants to live forever, but at the same time I'm fucking terrified of what this world's I'm 41. What's this world gonna look like when I'm 80? I know what it looked like when I was 20, and now that I'm 40, it's a fucking nightmare. So what the fuck is gonna happen in 40 years? And this idea of passage of time, and then especially when we talk about fantasy, sci-fi, and literature in those paradigms, what are the topics and subjects that they most deeply delve into. It's like, this is a place that once was vibrant and is now destroyed, and you are crawling through the remnants of another person's life that is gone and lost. So that's
why
sorry to get somber on you.
That's amazing, because that's part of the reason why we love this show is the fact that same with music and covers. Really, what these things are is they're timestamps.
Yeah.
They're these bits. They're literally bits, and that's why we like physical copies, because it's DNA of a person's mind, and often just of themselves. Like, you get that piece, and for some people, they're like, what is this shit? It's just a thing. But yes, it is. But if you can look inside of that, and you can see like the time and the effort and the thoughts and the creativity and the worlds, and like you just talked about, the actual thoughts of a person's life that are imbued in these subjects.
Yes. So I want to add on to that real quick, right? Bring it back to this idea of scenius that I brought up, right? It isn't just the artist that expresses themselves through these bits, because that art only exists through the expression of the people whom they love and inhabit the world with, some of whom don't even know how to make music.
Or inhabited the world
before them, that they learned from, right? So it's everybody from, and that's even with like the conflict involved. So, and getting something out of those people you were in conflict or at odds with even. So the whole of that, the totality of that whole, when it comes to what influences the artist and the stamp of the item and the object, the artifact, the thing that you're talking about, is also encapsulating of the spirits and the fucking vision of the folks that did not make the art at all. And that is one of my most deepest, and sort of like, it's so hard to express through the fucking narcissistic process of fucking making music and shoving it down fucking people's throats so that you can maybe afford a fucking keyboard to make more music, to try and not be the only thing anybody cares about.
I'll give you 500.
Struggle.
I'll give you 400 for that keyboard. No.
Yeah. Are you actually gonna play that? Because I'll give you 200.
Yeah, I might take it home and look at it. I don't really play.
Other
than that, I have no strong feelings on the matter.
No. That was apparent. That's a really cool segue, though, to our last and final cover here, which we talk about that. You guys are part of a recently released compilation, which is, it's awesome to have your own personal piece, but I actually think it's really cool when you get to collaborate and be a part of this giant expanse of multiple artists who all are releasing these crazy ideas. And so what you get is a package that's like enough DNA to create whatever crazy fucking monstrosity you want, which is what we have on this next piece here. And Brengineer, why don't you tell the people what we're looking at?
The Reliquary of Terror.
Now, such a great
I love
name.
this because I love all things horrific. And this, I've talked about this book before. I freaking love this book in my hands. The horror, all about EC Comics. Man, yes. I love horror comics. I love them so much. So what we're looking at here is a tape J card, and it is beautiful. It's all roughed up along the edges. It's looking like the Vault of Horror or Tales from the Crypt. That's been well loved, well read, and we've got this sort of witch or goblin wizard sitting at a table, and there's some spooky ghosts rising from behind his chair. Some possessed flatulence, perhaps, in a
God,
chamber.
That's a great band name, by the way.
That's some Calvas there, brother.
Possessed flatulence.
If that's not a death metal band, I'm never listening to death metal again.
Y'all can have that for free.
Be some gore grind or something.
Yeah.
This thing features some awesome acts.
Yes.
Right? It's got Scimitar in there. It's got Cryptodel. It's got you guys.
Valistraz.
It's got Valistraz, Saragost, Guild of Lores in there. I mean, this is a whole package of really great stuff.
The Reliquary of Terror from Rot Records gives me a real opportunity to fucking shout out the homies from Rot Records, Joey.
Yeah.
And you know, they are so fucking killing it right now. They're in a band though. Because here's the thing, right? We do a record label too, under Nest Conjurations, and like, it's cool that they make a record label, but fuck their record label for a second. What I want to say is that Red Horn Gate is some of the best Dungeon Synth that has ever fucking been made. They make such amazing music. They are such wonderful fucking folks. They gave us, they played with us when we were in Milwaukee, and it was a sort of transformative experience for us for a number of reasons that are personal. But they were just so good and so passionate and so raw, and they come at it from just such a refreshing angle. And they put out Naginah's demo that we covered first, and they put out My Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night tape, which
That's
just
awesome.
shipped the other day, which actually comes with this like little booklet that I'm really proud of. That's kind
We
of
love
like
booklets.
We love
Yeah.
booklets. We love maps.
Well, this is
Yeah,
like
get it all
this
in
is
there.
like a
Extra
miniature.
material.
It's like a miniature bound sort of craft piece.
Ooh, cool.
But anyway, the point there is that they are willing to fucking go that way. They want to take shit to the next level. They want
That's
to do
cool.
shit that's fucking cool. And this is like a great example of like a wonderful fucking cover where they said we're gonna do this conceptually and like
Nailed it.
nailed it. And then
Yes.
this is not so. I don't want to. So I'll be the last person to give a fuck about this, but Dungeon Synth can be fickle, right? And this is a great example of taking a chance that doesn't even look like a chance because it's executed so expertly, right? Like, you could do something like this and people will be like, what does, like, pulp horror fiction books have to do with Dungeon Synth? Like, there's
Where's
no
my
real
castle? Where's my
connection
sorcerer?
there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like, but like, they make it the same. They make it on brand by bringing it, using the shackles and making the narrative of the book. It's so, and I'm seeing this for the first time, and we're on this compilation. We made a music video in my fucking basement. My house was built in
Which is great.
1796.
So
you want to talk
I
about
was-
the fucking terror of old in New England, Doug? Come spend fucking 20 minutes with me in my basement.
I don't know if I want to.
Do it.
I'll bring a flumpkin.
Yeah,
So-
I don't even know what the fuck that is, but I'm in.
Do you know who did the artwork on this cover?
No,
I don't, no.
No, I know
No,
nothing
okay.
about
We'll
this.
figure
I
it
saw
out.
it for the first time a few seconds ago when it got
Yeah.
pulled up on the slide.
I've seen it.
That's
I've seen
amazing.
it before that, but
Not a lot.
I don't know who it is.
Breaking news.
I was gonna bring up though the cool thing about the music video, which I think is amazing.
Thank
By the
you.
way, you guys
Yeah,
did a really good job
awesome.
with it. Considering your budget was probably Shasta bottle caps, I imagine. But what's really cool is, obviously you hadn't seen the cover, but it actually ties in really well
Oh, yeah.
with this
Yeah.
album. Like it's got the altar, it's got you guys, which that brings me to another thing about the video. Did you guys edit that as well?
I did it. I did all of it. Except for
Yeah,
that. Well, I
nice
didn't
work
do
on
the
that.
video
The
Two
work.
transition
blood-
scenes.
The blood drops syncing up with those heavy beats was
Yeah, it was incredible.
Thank you. That was a so. And the funny thing about this is we talked a little bit about in this interview about working quickly and working slowly and sort of
Right.
like and when it comes to these compilations, you were talking about sort of like the collection of being around other incredible artists. This was a song we made in one fucking day.
Yep.
And and I mean like swiftly. So
I recorded probably I was sitting on this couch over here and plucked around a couple of notes, and he was like, "Yep, I like that. Let's do that. Do
Yeah.
more of that." So it took probably 2 hours to get my bit, and then he spent.
I don't know, probably about the same.
Yeah.
It was very very swiftly done, and then it's spooky, and it lasts fucking 7 minutes, and I was like, what the
Yes.
hell? And then we made a video for it. We gotta fucking stop that shit.
The first music video that we go for, we're just like, oh, we're just gonna drop a 7-minute long video.
My buddy who did the camera work, Eric Simpson, very old, dear, amazingly talented friend of mine, who does like drone stuff and things like that. Very, very into doing video. He did he had a gimbal and he did the video, but we shot that video 3 times, right? Yeah. We shot it the first time. I just
having no idea what we were
what we were even going to do. Walked into the room, fucking set everything up. So
I'm setting up the altar.
I'm like, we need to make an altar. I don't know how we're gonna do this.
I'm setting up the altar, and this is all stuff that we have. If you've seen videos of our live show, you can see every bit of that is in our live show. So it was stuff that was easily at hand. We didn't have to go to the store for any of it.
Yeah, that was the idea, was we weren't going to
right. We're just going to work
the
with
process.
What we
were going to say, like, what we have is what we can work
repurpose, reuse.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm setting it up, and I was like, oh, it's still missing something. I wish we had something like that. And I look just to the left of me, like maybe 3 feet, like a 45-degree angle, and I see this box, and I'm like, let me look what's in the box. And it's just a box of bones. Just a box of
There's a box of bones?
And I'm
Just
like,
sitting in
so
the basement?
what's with this box of bones in the basement? Which I've been into one other time. I've been in Shane's basement, and that time there was a salt circle. And I asked him what was going on in his basement, and he said, I have no idea. So this is the second time I've been in his basement. We're setting up an altar to do a ritual, and I find a box of bones. And I asked him, what's up with this box of bones? Can we use it? He's like, don't worry about it. But yes, we can use it.
So, yes, of course.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to just. They're
He
fucking
likes to
turtle
save
bones,
his chicken
and they're
bones,
not
alright?
mine. And like, it's like you start saying stuff like that, and they definitely don't look like turtle bones. Like, it's not. There was nothing I could say that was gonna look right, so I just didn't fucking try.
I like the idea of asking about a box of bones and someone saying, don't worry about it. Like, it sounds so much better than
I was like,
Right, it's very
saying what they
reassuring.
belong to.
It's very
Yeah.
reassuring.
Who else do we have
No,
to
there
credit
was
in this video?
what's that? Yeah. All right, rest in power.
How many people, are responsible for these bones?
So it was really fucking fun, and it was fast, and it was like we recorded a shitty version of it. I got the cut together. I got what effects I was gonna put out. I was like, I got a look I like, and I think if we had it better recorded, it would be better. So then I reached out to my homie, who was like, okay, you want to do a video and it's 7 minutes and you say it's going to be easy? Because that sure as hell sounds like a short film to me. And I was like, no, just trust me, we're going to slow it all down like a lot. And like make it epic and ominous. And, it's Dungeon Synth. People are patient. So, we'll do something. And I don't know. The Dungeon Synth videos, there's not a lot of them yet, so there isn't really like a blueprint. So it was very much like, which is one of the things I love about the genre, is that there's no fucking blueprint. So we could just go do whatever, and just say like, this feels like the right vibe to us. And there's a plot line where we're basically teleporting ourselves to Barovia to meet up with Strahd von Zanovich,
Love that place.
Yeah. Yo, fucking, I love him, but
being
fuck
magically
my
whisked
best
away to
friend,
Barovia.
dog.
Welcome to Blastovia.
Yeah, imagine summoning on purpose the mist of
Of Barovia.
Of
That
Barovia.
was kind of the thing we were going for, right? So and for anybody who doesn't know anything about Ravenloft, one of the things about Ravenloft is that like you basically get to the land of Barovia, which is a very gothic kind of land. You're usually in wherever you are actually from, and the mists sort of overtake you, and then you teleport to
So you're in the
end
middle
up
of doing
Barovia.
something else.
Yeah, usually.
Entirely. And
So-
then you get waylaid.
And anybody who's played fucking D&D, you know that like if you have a campaign where it's been going on for 5 or 6, 7 years, right? Like there's
You
a
gotta
lot
mix
of
it up.
Spice
You
it
gotta
up,
mix
but
yeah.
But even besides
Yeah.
that, though, like, as a player, you've got fucking dreams. You've got aspirations. You're not just fucking running around this
You're
campaign
invested.
world, willy-nilly. You're invested, and you don't want your 6th or 7th level fucking character die, right? You certainly don't want your fucking 6th or 7th level character to die in some place they've never fucking heard of for no reason
It's
they
either
can
that,
fucking
or you're
fathom.
super depressed because you've realized that your character has just entered the real world and you have a farm. And
Yeah.
and you have to provide for them, or your DM's gonna
Dog,
kill them
I
with a
love that
plague.
shit because, like,
Your
honestly,
character has a little podcast.
yeah, there's a wizard cast, right? Like, there's, you know, basically you go to like a crystal ball and you talk into the crystal ball, and then every other wizard tunes into that crystal ball channel.
Yeah, on another realm, all of our D&D
and casts
characters are
like
having
and subscribe.
Yeah, we're gonna meta this real quick and get into character here real fast.
Like and subscribe are 2 spells for their first levels.
Yeah, that's right. Well, dudes, it's been such a cool journey going through these covers.
Yeah.
And there have been so many stories, and one of the things we've been craving, we've been able to get a lot of processes. We've been able to get a lot of sort of concepts, but you guys have really brought some amazing stories. And folks, if you're listening, it just kind of goes to show when you're looking at art, regardless of being, music or being, physical art, there is a story behind everything, and it's really cool to see that you guys have really built these. Well, obviously you've built a relationship between each other, but you have these things interwoven between your covers and your stories and your music, and it's all tied together.
Yo, I gotta
It's
be
a really
honest.
complex world. Like, just talking to you guys, it's
Yeah.
a web. It's a weave.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
We've weaved in with other people's lore as well.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
no,
cool.
we've
Like,
definitely-
Nagana's appeared in Jason
Lore
Shook's
story.
Guild of Lore.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
And then
Kaylee from
More
Serta is actually her character Fortuna is
in the
written
book.
into my book as well. So and there's like lots of lore on that level. But what's interesting and what I really love and what I'm really fucking just genuinely fucking grateful for hearing
we're
you
not
say.
letting you guys off the hook.
Yeah, what I'm genuinely fucking grateful to hear y'all say is that it's about stories, because one of the things
Yes.
that anybody who actually digs into Sombre Arcane's written lore is going to find is that the characters Phranick and the characters Naginah, and represented through us, are at that's what they're about. They're about finding the stories in the world, like
And then giving them to you.
and then giving them to you. So like these performances, these songs, these Dungeon Synth songs, I guess is the vessel for it. But it's these stories that they have learned from people as far away as Earth or Faerun or Greyhawk or the Flanness,
Or Delaware.
wherever it might be. Delaware, fucking Newark, Delaware, where there's nothing but fucking cops on every fucking
Oh my
block,
God.
dog.
Let's not get into
And
that.
an amazing store called Days of Nights, which has like a great game store. You can't talk about a part of the fucking country that I know there's a game store. So yeah, we collect stories from fucking everywhere.
That's your map.
And that's what our characters do. So for that to have translated from us to y'all through both the covers that we do, the music that we make, and the time that we spend, like, I cannot fuck with that on one bit, and I'm so fucking grateful that y'all have given us the opportunity to experience it.
Well, we appreciate that,
absolutely,
man.
yeah.
And we couldn't tell that you guys were passionate or anything. It really hasn't come through.
Yeah, good luck
Yeah,
with your hobby.
we figure we'll do this for a
We
few
love
weeks,
seeing
see
that.
how it goes.
Yeah. So my final thing here, which is super important for us, is to give you guys some time to promote whatever you've got coming out. This is November 5th. For you listeners, you know that we have to record these things a little bit earlier, but you guys go ahead. Whatever you want, the floor is yours. Just let them know what's coming your way. Or shout-outs. You've done a bunch, but if you've got any more, go for it.
So we got the music video that will have come out a few days ago, premiered on Decibel magazine.
Oh, cool.
And we're really excited about that. We've just finished the mixing process on our full length. We'll see when that gets to you guys, but
Yeah.
it's forward momentum.
Yeah, no, the full length is probably something that will be really, really we're going to reach out to y'all and probably try and see if we can get back to you when that comes, because we're going to have to do like a big boy, honest to goodness, on purpose promotional push, because we've put so much time and effort. And
we'll do it.
Yeah, I'm so proud to say
for it.
that it sounds fucking incredible, and I want to throw a big, big thank you to my friend John Taft, formerly of New Alliance, and currently, just one of the best mixing engineers I've ever known, one of my best friends I've ever loved, and I guess from my perspective, the Phranick tape just came out, Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night. I'd really love it if people would listen to it. Most of the physical copies are sold out, but if you check it out, I'd love to know what you think. I actually put out. I'd also do independent rap, and as a
cool! I had no idea about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's where I spent most of my life, and actually where I got most of my production chops. So it's actually a kind of a never-ending struggle.
Phranick?
Yeah,
I love that.
And there's also tracks where Phranick raps, because on one of his trips to Earth, I taught him how, and I also ghostwrite verses for him. But nevertheless, Messiah Carey is the rap name, and I just just last night I put out a music video that you can find on YouTube. It's for a song called Odd Man Hypothesis, which is based on the Michael Crichton film or book and film. Amazing art on the film cover of that too, so and the art that I did was sort of overlapping, but that's another thing. That's something I did I'm very fucking proud of. I've been kind of in the video world, so check out the Decibel video, check that out, be on the lookout for that. Check out Guild of Lore, check out Valistraz, check out Tyrannus, check out Columnaris, check out Malfet, check out Fetters, check out Tarnufun, check out Pumpkin Witch, check out Alder Deep, check out fucking all these motherfuckers out there that are just like really creating music from the heart. The Dungeon Synth scene is an amazing and vibrant group of people who do incredible work. Check out Fogweaver, check out fucking Ascender, fucking goddamn Everthrite Throne. Check out Analog Dungeon and Northeast Dungeon Siege TV on Twitch.
Oh,
we
yeah.
do these things called the Dungeon
Sieges. Which, by the way, I gotta say, you guys did such a good job. That show, first of all, I think that people just keep seeing other people up the ante, and so the ante keeps getting up.
Yeah, it's really
you guys
evolving.
put together, you guys put together such an awesome set of performances. They were all amazing. I caught them all. They were all entertaining. So you guys did a really good job hosting that.
Thank you so much.
It was really cool.
Thank you so much. And that's on twitch.tv/Northeast Dungeon Siege. And basically we do a monthly Dungeon Synth live performance where people from all over the world perform, do a unique, one-of-a-kind performance that we broadcast on the channel.
An annual 3-day festival.
Yeah, and then annually we do a 3-day festival and those are called skirmishes, dungeon skirmishes. We do a festival called the Northeast Dungeon Siege, which is when we get back to and we won't do it, honestly, I just gotta say it right now, we haven't talked a whole bunch about this, but we're just not going to do it until we feel like it's going to be safe for everybody. So
never mind when we're in the red.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It's got to be good, and it's got to be right, and it's got to be fucking safe. But until it is, we're going to do whatever we can to keep bringing the dungeon skirmishes. And when we can get together in person, we got that 3-day festival, and that's going to fucking pop off. And I'm telling you, it's going to open up portals.
Great. Well, fantastic. Yes. Such an honor to chat with you guys. It's been so much fun. We're gonna talk to you again. So
can't wait.
We're not gonna say farewell, but we'll just say see you later. How's that?
That's perfect, my friend. That's perfect, my friend. Until then.
Sunset, casting shadows on the lonely beach. I have watched those stars of nighttime light their silver patterns out of reach saddest thing I've ever seen is when you walked away. Oh, the saddest thing I've ever seen is when you walked away.
Welcome back. Oh man, I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to make something. I don't know what it is. It might just be
Yeah.
a sculpture made out of the leftovers that I had last night, like in Contact from Another World. I think
Yeah.
that's what the movie's called.
Make an
You know?
enchilada portal.
First
Just
encounters of the last kind.
form your rice and beans into a portal.
I'm
and
gonna-
go visit Oith. And what was his planet?
I'm gonna get me some of that Culver's delivered
Oh,
from
baby.
and
Ship it in.
that's right. Make a little Culver's pyre and write some Dungeon Synth right now. Butter
Wreck
burgers.
the bathroom East Coast style.
That's right.
Your toilet is going to have a restraining order against you.
And that's what's cool about these guys, folks. As you can tell, there's no restraining order on your creativity. So many amazing stories.
Did you get that on a Hallmark card?
It is now. You can
Yeah.
sell that. $1.99. Give me royalties.
There's no restraining order on your
You can
You just take that and you just put that in your little vest pocket
Put
there.
it in your pocket. We have to give a huge shout out to both Naginah and Phranick.
Absolutely.
Such cool
Yeah.
guys, folks. As you can tell from that interview, they're just such gracious, funny, awesome people, working super hard, super energetic, and they just
Yes.
want to get music out and support other people. So those of you who are listening,
Yeah.
I hope some of you are doodle boopers and button mashers.
Yeah, they gave their email if you want to try and get out your music. That was really generous, and you can tell that they love the craft.
They do, yeah, and they want to support it. They
Clearly.
want to support the scene, which is super cool. And there are just so many questions, looking back, things that we wanted to ask that we didn't get a chance to. So, folks, I can guarantee you we're going to be swinging back around to these guys again because it was just such a joy and a pleasure to have them on the show.
Yes,
in
thank
fact,
you guys.
Brenjan, I believe, didn't you have a misadventure?
Well, here's the thing. So Phranick has a book out.
Yes, he does.
So I was doing my research of all of his musics, and discovered that there is a book. The pulse runs through us, and the weave is a pulse. Now, we touched very briefly in the interview about the book and about his writing and things like that. And I put my order in, a ways out before the interview, hoping it would get here so I could mash through it and talk about it. But it actually came in the day after. we
Oh,
did,
shit.
the interview.
Of course.
No.
Lord Beezer
it was like a day or
strikes
two.
again.
Yeah.
Take that, cover decoders.
That's right. And so here it is. I'm holding it up.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so nice
look
looking.
at it.
Look at the colors.
It's awesome. I mashed through this book. I mean, I have like 10 pages left, but man, didn't get a chance to read it. Awesome read. You can find it on the Phranick Bandcamp. And here's the cool thing: like, how many books do you know have a soundtrack?
Right. Yeah.
Like none.
Every book
None?
should have a soundtrack.
Every book should have a soundtrack. And so,
Damn
like,
it.
I was listening to the album, I was reading the book. I mean, there's just so many adventures and misadventures. He goes into someone's memories, a friend's memories, and does battle with this sort of insectoid parasite.
That's amazing.
Like trying to get his memories. And then it goes into him and Naginah on this adventure to help a friend's keep that's under siege. And it's really fun. It has a lot of modern lingo that it's just really colorful,
Yeah.
It's colorful, it's vibrant, it's fast paced.
Which, that's like the perfect descriptor of, which is funny because their music, they're called Sombre Arcane. Their music has kind of that tone, but as you guys could tell from the interview, they themselves are just really colorful.
They are not grayscale.
No, they're not. No. They're not grayscale at all.
No, sir.
Yeah.
So cool.
And that's reflected in this book. I mean, I would suggest anyone who's into fantasy, particular D&D, there's lots of sort of references, different things in here, should check this book out.
Absolutely.
Great.
And folks, make sure, like we said in the interview, check out the split they were on recently, Reliquary of Terror. Really cool. They have a music video out. Check that too.
Really cool.
Really cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I will also say this. I don't want to say too much because, they gave us a taste, but they gave us a taste of the album to come, folks.
Oh.
And I will say this. If you are a fan of Sombre Arcane, when there is a bundle, a tape bundle, when there is a pre-order, buy it. Purchase it.
Get that.
Because it is so unique and awesome that you're going to want that in your collection.
Yeah.
All right? The stuff they're coming out with, it's different. It's really, really cool. I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited about it for them. And you guys are going to love it too. So if you like their music, you know what? If you don't like their music, they're awesome guys. Buy their shit. Support them, please. We have one final thing to do here, folks. This is a very exciting episode for multiple reasons. Obviously, we have the interview, but there's one more thing that we have to do here. We have 2 new inductees into the cover cult.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Thank you, guys.
AJ and Willett have accepted the truth of coverdom. They have seen with eyes clouded by art, and they have risen above the miasma of rudimentary creativity. They have embraced a higher form of cover flavor. They have been admitted into cover holla. They have the blessing of Frazetta's chunky ass cheeks. They have the glow of Renata upon their rippling, unrealistic muscular structure. They hold the orb of Kenny Loggins' inspiration. And so long as they live, the Gornak shall not fondle them. May they both drink of Little Richard's ham sweat and forever be free of digital airbrush. AJ and Willett, welcome to the cover cult.
Yeah.
Welcome. Join
And folks,
us.
if you want to be a part of the cover cult with
Yeah.
these 2 cultists, you can do that. Just $2.
you can.
Go to Patreon, sign up. It helps us out a whole lot.
And here's the deal, guys. Have you ever wanted your name in a song? In song. Well, guess what? There will be a special
Special.
cover cultist
Special.
inductee song.
Become
Just for you guys. And your name will be added to it every time until
Ooh.
even when it hits 100 names.
Holy. Really?
That's a engineer promise.
It's gonna be start off as a nice 50-second song, and then by the end of it, we're looking at a 10-minute epic.
It's going to get real Benny Hill there at the end. But yes, folks, absolutely. We want you on the list. We don't want anyone being left on this lame, bland planet. We want to abduct you into the cover realm forever.
Join us.
Also,
Yeah.
you get a free episode if you
Get
you
a
do
free
that.
episode. There's
So
good stuff on
you wanna do
there.
that.
It's a lot of fun.
Yes. So once again, thank you to Naginah and Phranick. We super appreciated you guys coming on. We had a blast.
With that, I'm going to say thank you for joining us in the dungeon tonight. Thank you for
Welcome to the
coming with
dungeon.
us. Yeah. Thank you for walking past all the goblin merchants, going past the orc bars, and
Orc
heading
Davis.
straight for the incredible stories coming from Frantic and Naginah. If you want to send us your covers, you have any questions for us, you want to give us some feedback, please do. And you can find us at coverdecoder@gmail.com. We are on the Instagram, and little Webmaster Inc.'s announcement. If you don't know, you can follow along with us on the slides. The slides are at the website. If you go to the show description, you will see a link to our Google Slides, and you can be there, right there with us, seeing the covers that we see, that we feel.
3D experience.
The ones that we talked about tonight. You could be there with us.
All the touches, all the smells.
So many smells.
All of them.
Now, remember, the cover is the portal, especially when the cover has a portal on it.